What's going on, everybody? Back for another knife review. Today we're going to take a look at the Spyderco Salt 1 folding pocket knife with the H1 steel, corrosion resistant, will not rust on you. And first off, I want to say my camera does not like this yellow, so no, the handles are not smooth. They do have the texturing FRN handles that you're used to seeing. It kind of looks smooth on the camera if it's at a certain angle, so you know, you're not seeing an illusion. This isn't a modified Spyderco Salt. It's just the yellow's too bright for the camera or something, the way the lighting's set up. But anyways, wanted to take a look at this knife. I actually bought it for a specific purpose. Was looking for a different knife to carry to work. And pretty much what I use knives at work for is just cutting boxes for the most part. Cutting boxes, open packages, things like that. And this type of knife usually accompanies a small multi-tool or something else like a Victorinox Cadet. This is what I've been carrying mostly. So it's kind of these two knives as far as my knife EDC to work. So I wanted to try something different. Before I had the Salt, I was carrying the K-Bar Dozier, which is also a great knife, but kind of wanted to, again, try something different, something a little bit lighter. The Salt 1 is 2.0 ounces, the Dozier is 2.2. And the Salt, it has kind of the same ergonomics as the Delica. It's not exactly the same, but it's very similar. You can get a full forefinger grip on it. So it's very comfortable in the hand, and again, I just wanted to try something different for a change. So went ahead. I've been carrying the Salt for about 2 weeks. Every day this comes with me to work. And it's been in my pockets, usually with a small flashlight, chapstick, so it's kind of gotten banged around. But overall, I'm really liking it. Really enjoy the design. I think it works the way that, for my intended purpose. Now, a lot of people buy this knife for its specialty, the fact that it does have the H1 steel, and not only that, all of the components, the lock, the pocket clip, the screws, everything inside is also corrosion resistant, so you don't have to worry about anything rusting out on you, which is a great feature. It's something that's pretty cool. On my particular model, it does have a titanium pocket clip that's a black. It's painted black, I believe. But there are some prior models that did not have the titanium clip. I know on Spyderco's website it still lists the clip as titanium. As far as I know, mine is. I tried testing if it's magnetized. It's not, so I know, I'm not positive, but I almost know for sure it's not steel, it's titanium. But I'm just going off of what Spyderco's site says. And, you know, pretty much I've been enjoying this knife a lot. Now, as far as H1 steel, I don't know a whole lot about it other than the fact that it's a pH steel, and it has some certain properties to it that allows it to not corrode or rust on you. And it still holds a relatively sharp edge. It holds it fairly long from what I've seen. It's every bit as good edge retention as my K-Bar Dozier. It's every bit as good, in my opinion, as my Spyderco Stretch VG10. You know, and again, I'm not a steel expert. All I can go off of is my own personal experience of cutting cardboard and things of that nature. And when I first got this one, the first thing I did was I resharpened it because I wanted, well, for one, I had just gotten the Wicked Edge sharpener, and I wanted to do some, just some test sharpening, you know, learn and just kind of hone my skills. But anyways, I believe I put this one at 36 degrees inclusive, so a nice, nice bevel on both sides, and then I'm going to just maintain it with the sharp maker. You know, and I really haven't had to touch the edge up that much. It's still hair popping sharp, and like I said, I've been cutting cardboard every day. And I really haven't touched it up that much. It's still hair popping sharp. It has lost a little bit of its sharpness, but it's still really good. Now, some people might say that this isn't the perfect, it's not the perfect blade grind for cutting cardboard. It's not a full flat grind, it's a saber grind. But, however, I prefer the added durability sometimes. Although it might not glide through cardboard like the Delica would, I do enjoy having the rust-resistant steel. The fact that if I get this knife all gunked up, I can throw it in the sink, rinse it under some water, and not have to worry about drying out the liners inside, which on the Delica are stainless steel. You can see are no liners in this. It's just the FRN handles. That's all it is. So you can just rinse it out. You can dry it off if you want, or you don't even have to do that. I really enjoy that. And I also enjoy the added durability on the tip. It's kind of a blunted tip. It's not as precise. It's relatively strong. Well, actually really strong. This isn't a tactical knife for me. You know, I don't plan on stabbing people with it. It's like I said, it's just a work knife, a durable work knife, and it's worked out really well for my intended purpose. Now, the handles are relatively grippy. These are the FRN handles. It's not the bidirectional texturing. Some people say it's the Volcano, but I think it's a little different than that one. It's kind of hard to describe it. You can look at it and see, but it's relatively grippy. Even when the knife is wet, it does offer a little bit of traction, but not much. Not much at all. There is some jimping on the back of the blade right here where the deployment hole is. So it catches your thumb really nice. Like I said, it fits in the hand really nicely, just like the Delica. The handle's a little bit of a different design, but fairly similar. What else? Well, let's talk about fit and finish. The knife is fairly smooth. It doesn't drop freely because I do have it kind of tightened down, but it is really smooth. It deploys fast. You know, there's no bearings in it or anything like that. It's just steel on plastic, basically, or FRN, whatever you want to call it. But it is one-handed. You can close it and unlock it one-handed. I really can't demonstrate that on. Well, let me try. You kind of got to flick it forward a little bit just to close it. There, you see, I did it there. But it's really smooth, actually. Not much resistance at all deploying it. One thing that I noticed is that the scales are not exactly level with each other. You can kind of see in the light there. On this side, there is a gap between the lock and this scale. That scale's flush with the lock, but not a big deal. It doesn't affect its durability. The lock is still rock solid. That's one thing I was really surprised with, is that there's absolutely no blade play at all, and it still deploys fairly smoothly. I thought that it might have some play just for the fact that it doesn't have any liners in there, any steel liners. However, it's really tight. The lockup is every good as mine on my Dozier. It's every good as a lock on the Stretch, which this knife locks up rock solid. So does the Salt. No up-down blade play, very slight side to side, and that is with me having it fairly tight, having the pivot fairly tight. And actually on this Salt, you can take the knife apart if you wanted. It has an adjustable pivot. There's a torque screw right there, and if you take the pocket clip off, you can actually take this knife apart, which is rare because a lot of the Salts, the older Salts, didn't have that. So it's nice to see that they're doing that. Do I think you'll ever have to take it apart? Hopefully not. It locks up tight. The lock seems nice, and fit and finish looks good on it. Nothing really sticking out there. Deploys good. Closes nice. You know, just overall good functioning knife that's perfectly capable for a lot of cutting tasks. And that's what I bought it for. Just a really light, small EDC knife, or mid-size to some. You know, just a utility blade. It's working really great for me. One thing I wanted to point out, and this is very similar to the Delica. The Delica's like this too. You look at something like the Spyderco Stretch, which is more of a medium-sized knife, and the actual usable handle length is very similar, almost identical. You look at the Salt 1, almost exactly the same as the Stretch as far as where you would actually have your hand, not counting the choil, not counting choking up on the Stretch. Just look at that. Very similar handle. You know, you got a lot of usable handle there. Nice forefinger grip. Overall, great knife. I really like it, and I'm going to continue carrying it. No reason not to, other than the fact that I'll probably have some new blades coming soon to keep trying and testing, but that's kind of normal. One thing I want to mention, this H1 steel does scratch up fairly easily. You look at all those scratches. All that's from is cutting cardboard. It scratches up fairly easily. Not a big deal if it's a knife that you use, but just something to point out. It is going to wear on you as far as the looks, but not a big deal to me. It performs really well, holds an edge good, gets a really sharp edge fairly easily. Really like the knife. If you don't want the corrosion resistant knife, the Salt 1, go ahead and go with the Delica if you're looking for this size knife. Another great option, in my opinion, just as high of a value. Again, it's all based on personal preference on whether you need a knife like this or you want one. You know, the K-Bar Dozier is just as good in many regards, other than the fact that it'll rust out on you more easily than the Salt 1. But anyways, that's my review, guys. Hope you liked it. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Hope everyone's doing well, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.